Finally, we enter the beginning of version 3.2, which of course we have several new characters. One of which is Castorice, which has been awaited by many players, including myself, because she has a unique kit compared to other characters. As we know, Castorice also has damage scaling through her maximum HP. Castorice herself can deal massive AoE damage to all enemies. However, the amount of damage comes at a cost, which is a reduction in the HP of all teammates when Castorice launches her skill. Of course, with this unique kit, there are some characters that are very well suited to be paired with Castorice, namely Mydei and Tribbie. But aside from these two characters, it turns out that there are a lot of other characters that could be paired with Castorice. So without further ado, I'm Hoyo Station and we're going to discuss about the ultimate guide for Castorice version 3.2. Let's do this. Do you have a character or weapon in the game that you really want but you don't have enough Stellar Jades? Here's a smarter way to recharge your favorite games like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. Look no further than Lootbar. Lootbar is the most reliable top-up platform. It saves up to 23% for all orders compared with the official channel, and it provides an 80% off for your first purchase. It's 100% safe as you will only be using your UID. We will buy pack for 3000 Stellar Jades for $42, which otherwise would have costed $50. Totally saving $7.5. We received the crystals we purchased in the less than 3 minutes. All recharges will be done through the official channel with MiHoYo, which allows you to enjoy all top-up offers. Ready to level up your gaming experience? Check the link in the description to get the amazing discount. As always, before we dive deeper into her kit, we will talk about her base stats first. Castorice is a quantum type character and also a remembrance character, which gives her a higher base HP than other remembrance characters, namely Aglaia and Remembrance MC, which is at 1630 points. You know what, even this number turns out to be slightly higher than Mydei's base HP, which also has a kit related to his HP. Castorice has a base attack of 524 points and base defense of 485 points. Castorice's base attack is slightly lower than Aglaia's, but the base defense itself is similar. This is of course because Castorice's base kit relies on HP as its main stat. Meanwhile, she has a base speed of 95, which is quite low compared to other remembrance characters. This is certainly a good thing, as it can make the Poet of Morning Collapse relic a good option, as it can increase the quantum damage and critical rate by up to 32% when the speed of the character using the relic is below 95 points. Okay, now we move on to her skills, which have several versions, namely the regular version and also the version when there is another wing or her MEMOSPRITE, which makes her skill a joint attack. The first version is called Silence, where it flies scarce, which consumes 30% of the HP of all teammates and gives quantum damage to one enemy and 2 surrounding enemies. If there is not enough HP, this skill will reduce the HP to 1. If Nether Wing is on the field, this skill will become its second version called Boneclaw Doomdrake's Embrace. This skill will consume 40% of the HP of all teammates except Nether Wing. Castorice and Nether Wing deal shared damage to all targets and deal quantum damage. It's interesting to note that both versions of this skill do not consume any skill points when this skill is launched, meaning that Castorice is a neutral SP character. Because this skill is quite draining HP for your team, you need to bring enough proper sustain to provide good healing, such as Gallagher, who can provide a besotted state that will provide healing when we attack enemies who have that status. Next, we will enter the kit that is no less important, namely her ultimate named Doomshriek Dawn's Chime. Will summon her MEMOSPRITE named Netherwing and increase her action by 100%, which means Netherwing will immediately get a turn when it's summoned. At the same time, Castorice creates a territory named Lost Netherland that will reduce all enemy resistant types by 20%. If the damage boost from the Castorice talent is active, this effect will also be given to Netherwing. Netherwing itself has 165 points of speed, and its maximum HP is equivalent to 100% maximum HP from Newbot, which is the mechanism of its ultimate. Newbot is a special energy gauge owned by Castorice, similar to Acheron and Veixiao's ultimate mechanism, which is where they have their own mechanics to charge their energy. The effect of this ultimate will disappear after Netherwing has acted 3 turns or its HP reaches 0. One thing I need to mention from this kit is that because Netherwing has a fairly fast speed, the zone of this ultimate will not last long, guys. Which means we have to cast Castorice's ultimate close to the next ultimate so that Castorice and also Netherwing can get all type resistant penetration consistently. Before we continue with Castorice's kit, we will first discuss her MEMOSPRITE first, named Netherwing. The first skill of her MEMOSPRITE, named Breath Scorches the Shadow, will consume 25% of Netherwing's maximum HP and cause quantum damage on all enemies equal to Castorice's maximum HP. This skill can be used multiple times and will increase the damage of that skill by 20.4%. This damage increase will not decrease until Netherwing disappears. When Netherwing's HP is at or below 25% of its maximum HP, using this skill again will trigger the MEMOSPRITE talent Wing Sweep the Ruins. While the Wing Sweep the Ruins talent is in effect when Netherwing disappears, it will give 6 hits of quantum damage, where each hit will give damage equal to 40% of the maximum HP of Castorice to random enemies where this talent has a bounce type. After that, it will fill all teammates' HP by 6% of Castorice's maximum HP plus 800 points. The disappearing word in this talent has several conditions, including this talent being active when Netherwing is defeated in battle or when HP is consumed by a skill called Breath Scorches the Shadow. MEMOSPRITE also has a support talent called Moon Cocoon Shorts the Form. When Netherwing is in battle, it acts as support for teammates. When a teammate is hit by an enemy attack, the teammate's HP can only be touched for a minimum of up to 1 HP. The rest of the damage will be taken by Netherwing at 500% of the original damage until Netherwing disappears. Another interesting thing is that the enemy cannot attack the protection unit with any attack, be it AoE, single or blast. In short, this talent will protect teammates with the newest mechanic, the backup unit, which will transfer the damage received by teammates to Netherwing. So with the reduction in HP of all teammates from the skills of Castorice, it will certainly make your teammates in minimum HP. With this talent, it will certainly make the damage received transferred to Netherwing, which makes our teammates will not fall easily. For another support talent called Roar Rumbles the Realm, which when Netherwing is called, will increase the damage of all teammates by 10% for 3 turns. Now this is pretty simple talent, but it has a good effect because it will be active all the time since we will be calling Netherwing a lot in battle. Okay, we've pretty much discussed the kit that her MEMOSPRITE owns, so it's time for us to go back to discussing the Castorice talent called Desolation Across Pops. This talent determines the energy level of the ultimate Castorice, which is based on all character levels in combat. For every point of HP lost by all teammates, Castorice gains 1 point of new butt. This means that the more HP of your teammates have, the more new butt you get from Castorice's kit, which can reduce your teammates' HP. When new butt reaches its maximum, Castorice's ultimate can be used. When teammates lose HP, the damage caused by Castorice and Netherwing increases by 20%. This effect can be stacked up to 3 times and lasts for 3 turns. When added together, the increase from this effect can reach up to 60% for each team members that loses HP. When Netherwing is in battle, new butt cannot be gained through talents, and any HP lost by teammates other than Netherwing will be replenished to Netherwing. I emphasize this last point because this is Netherwing's self-healing mechanism. Unlike Aglaya and RMC, who can heal continuously through their skills, Netherwing only heals on its own when teammates lose HP. This kit will work well with Mydei's or Blade's kits that can reduce their HP. Pretty unique, right? Oh yeah guys, Castorice also has a unique ability called Sanctuary of Moon Cocoon. When we have Castorice, if a teammate is hit by a deadly attack, all team members affected by the attack will enter Moon Cocoon status. Characters in this state will have their down state delayed and can take their turn normally. After their turn, if they receive a heal or shield before their next turn, Moon Cocoon will be removed. Conversely, if they do not receive a heal or shield before their next turn, they will go down immediately in that battle. The unique effect of Castorice is really special, as no character other than Castorice has a global passive like this. In addition, it can also prevent our characters from going down in battle. Although it has its limitations, this kit will be very useful in certain times when we accidentally make mistakes and cause our teammates to die. Okay, now we move on to her technique called Wail, Herald of Death. This technique will cast a Nether Veil effect for 20 seconds. While the Nether Veil is active, enemies cannot attack Castorice. Now when Castorice enters battle while in the Nether Veil state, she will immediately summon Nether Wing and immediately increase its action. Nether Wing has a HP equal to 50% of the maximum new butt. After entering battle, it will consume 40% of the HP of all teammates, including Nether Wing itself. After entering the battle and before summoning Nether Wing, Castorice will gain 30% of new butt. Now her technique has an interesting effect because when we use it, we will able to summon Nether Wing immediately without having to use the ultimate first. Of course, this technique also consumes the HP of all teammates, which automatically fills up Nether Wing's HP. Okay, next up is Castorice's Trace. Her minor trace will give 18.7% critical rate, 14.4% quantum damage boost, and 13.3% critical damage. This effect is very good for Castorice because we get a pretty good critical ratio and an increase in quantum damage boost, which will also increase Castorice's damage output. If we add the effect of the Point of Mourning's Collapse Relic, we already get a 50% critical rate of the base stat, so we don't need a lot of critical rate to build this character well, right? For the first trace named Where the West Wind Dwells, it has the effect of each Nether Wing using Breath Scorches the Shadow, increasing the resulting damage by 30%. This effect can be stacked up to 6 times and lasts until the end of this turn. This trace effect will add more damage from the Breath Scorches the Shadow MEMOSPRITE skill, which was previously increased through the skill. Since this skill can be used multiple times, the increase can be up to the maximum of 180%. For the second trace, Inverted Torch, when Castorice's current HP is at or above 50% of her maximum HP, her speed is increased by 40%. When Nether Wing uses Breath Scorches the Shadow to deal a killing blow to all enemies in the battle, Nether Wing's speed increases by 100% for one turn. The effect of this trace is pretty good, guys, especially in Pure Fiction mode. Why? The speed increase in Pure Fiction mode will be very useful where after all are hit by a deadly attack, which means that their HP reaches 0. Then we can use Nether Wing again to attack in the next wave, which will be very useful in Pure Fiction mode. Then for the third trace, Contained Dark Tide, has an effect after teammates accept Nether Wing receive heal, will convert 100% heal value to new butt. Each teammate's converted amount will not exceed 12% of the maximum new butt limit. The accumulated value of all units is reset after any teammate takes a turn. The effect of this third trace is closely related to the stack replenishment of Castorice's new butt. So if our teammates receive heals more often, the new butt fill up faster. Then when the Nether Wing is in battle, the heal effect will be used to replenish the HP of the Nether Wing whose amount per teammate does not exceed 12% of the new butt. This will also make the HP of Nether Wing will be filled easily without having to directly give heal to Nether Wing. Finally, we come to the last part of Castorice's kit, which is the EIDOLON. For the first EIDOLON named Snowbound Maiden, Memory to Tomb, it will increase the damage of Boneclaw Doomdrake's Embrace, Claw Splits the Veil, Breath Scorches the Shadow, and Wings Sweep the Ruins by 120% or 140% of the original damage if the enemy HP is 80% or 50% or less than Castorice's maximum HP. In simple terms, this EIDOLON will increase the damage of all Castorice and Nether Wing attacks to enemies that have 80% or 50% lower HP than Castorice's maximum HP. Of course, the effect of this EIDOLON is quite good to increase all the damage given by Castorice, especially when the enemy has little remaining HP. Furthermore, for the second EIDOLON named Crown on Wings of Bloom, when summoning Nether Wing, Castorice gets 2 stacks of Ardent Wheel with a maximum of 2 stacks Ardent Wheel that can be owned at a time. Ardent Wheel can be used to compensate for Nether Wing's HP consumption when using skills. In addition to spamming Breath Scorches the Shadow will increase Castorice's action by 100%, making Castorice can immediately attack the enemy even though she has a slow speed. When using the next enhanced skill, Castorice will gain 30% of the maximum new butt points. Well, in essence, Castorice can use an additional 2 Breath Scorches the Shadow skills, can increase Castorice's action by 100% every time the Nether Wing uses Breath Scorches the Shadow, and also the use of Castorice's next enhanced skill will immediately get 30% new butt points. This effect is certainly very good because in addition to increasing the damage from Breath Scorches the Shadow, This add-on will also make the feeling of the new bat faster, which will make her ultimate more frequent to trigger, which will automatically increase the damage output caused by Castorice. Now, one interesting thing about this add-on is that the increase in damage generated by this add-on is very big, guys. Even according to existing calculations, the increase caused by this add-on can reach almost 2 times. Interesting, right? Then add-on 4, called Rest in Songs of Gloom. When Castorice in battle, the incoming healing of all teammates will increase by 20% when they receive a healing effect. This add-on will increase the healing of all teammates, which means that the effect of this add-on will also speed up the filling of its new build points because the healing it receives will be greater. Finally, the 6th add-on, Wait for Years to Live, has the effect of increasing the quantum resistance penetration by 20% when Castorice and Another Wing deal damage. In addition, when Another Wing attacks, it will ignore weakness types and reduce the enemy's toughness regardless of weakness. And it will cause a quantum weakness break effect if the enemy is hit by a weakness break. In addition, it will increase the bounce caused by the MEMOSPRITE Wings Sweep the Ruins talent by 3 times for a total of 9 attacks. Overall, add-on 6 will provide additional damage output because it can provide resistant quantum penetration to Castorice and Another Wing. Plus, with Another Wing attacks that can ignore weakness types, Castorice can be used on almost all enemy types. And with the effect of add-on 6, it will provide an additional amount of bounce from the MEMOSPRITE talent to 50% more. This means she will get a massive damage increase. The increase from this add-on is one of the biggest damage increases she has. I think that makes sense because this is the effect of add-on 6, right? Okay, now we move on to Castorice's signature light cone, which is no less interesting for us to discuss, called Make Farewells More Beautiful. The effect of this light cone is to increase the user's maximum HP by 30%. Another fact is that if the user or MEMOSPRITE loses HP during their turn, the user receives a Death Flower, which causes the user and MEMOSPRITE to ignore 30% of the target's defense when attacking for 2 turns. In addition, when the MEMOSPRITE disappears, it will prioritize the user's action by 12%. This effect can be triggered once, and the trigger resets each time the user launches the ultimate. Well, this light cone has a good effect and matches the Castorice kit itself. The passive effect will increase the user's maximum HP by 30%, which is a huge value, guys. Then another effect will give ignore defense to the user and her MEMOSPRITE to increase her damage output again. Then the last effect will make Castorice's turn faster so that she can cast the ultimate more often. This effect is very helpful for Castorice, especially since she has a slow speed. Based on data from PrideWin.gg, this light cone can increase Castorice's damage output by 23%, which means that this light cone plays a big role in increasing her value. Okay, for the next discussion is the Castorice build itself. For the main and best relic itself, we can use 4 sets of Void of Morning Collapse, which will provide a quantum damage of 10% as well as a critical rate of 32% when speed is below 95. This relic will be the best relic for Castorice because it provides a very high critical rate as I mentioned earlier. For alternative sets, you can use 4 sets of Genius of Brilliant Stars, which increases quantum damage, and 4 sets that ignore 10% of the enemy's defense and increase it another 10% if the enemy has a quantum weakness. Of course, this can be a good alternative to Castorice, but I still recommend using Void of Morning Collapse because the effect is too bad to miss. The best planner you can use is 2 sets of Bone Collections Surrender Misni, which will increase maximum HP by 12%, and if maximum HP is 5000 or more, it will increase the user's critical damage and MEMOSPRITE by 28%. The effect of this planner is very good for Castorice and Another Wing, as it will increase the critical damage of both and the maximum HP of Castorice. The recommended stats to use for Castorice are as follows. Okay, next, so how does light cone work with Castorice? The main one, of course, is her signature light cone called Make Farewells More Beautiful, the effect of which is very suitable for Castorice itself. If you don't want to use her signature light cone, you can use the Battle Pass light cone called Sweat Now Cry Less, which will increase the user's critical damage and critical rate. Keep in mind that you can only get this light cone by purchasing a Battle Pass. As for the last option, you can use Victory in a Blink, which will increase the user's critical damage, but unfortunately, the other effect of this light cone will not be able to be used because it requires MEMOSPRITE skills on teammates. Okay, now let's go into the teammate section. Since there are a lot of characters that can support this character, I will also talk a little bit about the characters that can help maximize Castorice's kit. Let's start with Gallagher. Yes, up until the current meta, Gallagher is still the best 4-star sustain option that can provide heal and debuff effects to the enemy. His talent makes it so that even enemy is attacked while in a besotted state, it will restore HP to the attacker. This effect is similar to Luocha's Cycle of Life, but the difference is that not all teammates get healed like Cycle of Life. But the advantage of Gallagher's kit is that since Castorice can attack enemies in an area, the amount of healing you get is even greater because Gallagher's ultimate is calculated per number of monsters, making Castorice's kit a perfect fit for him. In addition, considering that Gallagher is a 4-star character, it will automatically make this character easier to get along with his Eidolon. For the next character, we will talk about Luocha, who can be an alternative to Gallagher. Luocha has a kit that is very similar to Gallagher's, namely the talent called Cycle of Life. In fact, for the current meta, Luocha is less desirable because the performance of his kit is currently quite drastically reduced compared to other sustains. But the presence of Castorice will make Luocha a good healer option thanks to his Cycle of Life effect, which can provide lifesteal to all teammates. In addition, like Gallagher, his skills can provide a big heal that will also help replenish Castorice's ultimate or new butt. After sustain, the next character that works well with Castorice is Tribbie. This time, Tribbie is also a very good support character for Castorice. In addition to her kit, which also has HP scaling that makes it easier to fill new butt points, Tribbie's skill can provide resistant penetration, which are certainly useful for increasing Castorice's damage. In addition, since Castorice and Netherwing have high HP, Tribbie's damage output also increases because her ultimate will calculate the amount of maximum HP of her teammates. When Tribbie is combined with Gallagher or Luocha, the healing effect of Gallagher's ultimate or Luocha's field will be triggered more often because Tribbie has a follow-up attack kit that is very easy to trigger. Interesting, right? The next support character is Remembrance MC. As a support character for Castorice's team composition, RMC in the kit is very good for Castorice, where it will increase critical damage and provide additional true damage when Castorice and Netherwing launch attacks. In addition, the action-enhancing effect of RMC's MEMOSPRITE talent is also useful to help Castorice get a turn faster. Oh, and since RMC also has MEMOSPRITE, it will help increase Castorice's ultimate charge because Castorice will also reduce the HP of our team's MEMOSPRITE in battle. Another thing I didn't mention here is that if you have E2 from RMC, RMC will get an additional 8 energy if there's another MEMOSPRITE in our team that gets a turn. This means that the combination of RMC and Castorice is an excellent combination, guys. Next is Sunday. Although Sunday cannot provide the maximum benefit to Castorice due to several shortcomings, it cannot be denied that the buff provided will be very influential for Remembrance DPS characters like Castorice. Sunday acts as a character that can increase Castorice's damage and increase their action by 100%. Other facts like increasing critical rate and critical damage will be very useful for Castorice. But unfortunately, keep in mind that the addition of energy from Sunday's ultimate will not be very useful for Castorice, and the fact of introducing his action will create a new problem. Namely, Castorice will lose HP very quickly, and Netherwing's HP tends not to be maximized when it attacks because of the additional 100% action provided by Sunday. For support options, if you don't have Tribbie, you can use Ruanmei and also Bella, which are very good optional characters. We all know that Ruanmei herself is a very good support because of her universal buff that can provide speed, damage percentage, and also resistant penetration buffs that are very useful for many team compositions, one of which is Castorice. For Bella herself, she can be an alternative support because she is a 1.0 released character and many of you have her up to A6. Bella can give up to 40% defense reduction to all enemies, which is a pretty big number. Bella can also recharge her energy very quickly with the help of talents and her Eidolon 1. The next character is Mydei. As we know, all Castorice's attack reduce the HP of all teammates, so Mydei will automatically get a charge for her skills. And Mydei can charge HP independently through his ultimate, which can also fill up points from Castorice's new butt. So the two of them can synergize and are interesting for us to pair. Plus, Mydei also has a very high maximum HP, which also help replenish Castorice's ultimate. Unfortunately, Mydei will act as an energy battery for Castorice here, so he will not be able to unleash his best kit. Oh yeah, just like Mydei, you can also pair Blade with Castorice. Blade's kit is more or less the same as Mydei's. so he's a good character to use an energy battery to help Castorice charge her ultimate faster. Okay guys, maybe that's all for now. What do you think about Castorice? If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. And don't forget to check out my other videos because they are just as cool. Thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video.